Hello everybody, it's Julia with Senior Susie Stamps and I'm doing Watercolor Wednesday today. This is day 3 in my journey, and I know that when we learn new things we have to have some tools, and so I'm using this book by Harriet de Winton today, Painting Watercolor Botanicals. I'll leave a link down below. And I'm looking specifically at pages 18 and 19 for brush strokes. So let's get started because we're going to start easy and kind of build up today. I'm still working off my palette that I fixed the other day. I thought I'd use this paint up and get started just with some basic brush strokes. I've got my 2 containers of water here. I have some pencils because I drew some straight lines. You know, I cannot draw. It's pitiful, y'all. I'm just telling you. So I thought I would use some tools today, and I'm going to share some with you that you can download if you want to. I have a couple of paint brushes. This one, my mother left this in water, and you can see what happens to them when you leave them in water. That eats the finish off your brush handle, and it's just not good for your paintbrush at all. So wash your paintbrushes out and then let them dry well. So we're going to use a number 3 round, and I think just by looking at it that this is probably a number 2 round. I'm not positive about that. Anyway, let's get started. And I'm going to start with straight lines, obviously, first, and just choose a random color. I need to wake my paint up just a little bit, but I think we'll use some purple today because I think it will show up well in the camera. I moved my camera back today, so if you all will please let me know what you think about the camera angle. I appreciate it. I can't seem to get the entire spectrum in. Let me try one thing quickly. Hang on. Now we'll see if there's any difference there. So in order to do a straight line, I'm going to hold my paintbrush up a little bit and just kind of do a straight line following my pencil line, which is easier said than done. It's a little drunken line there, but that's good. Sometimes you just have to start out slow, and I have my hand resting on the table, and you can see I'm not exactly following that line, but it's close enough for me for today for practice. And now I'm going to go right back behind it and do a little thicker line by putting more of my paintbrush tip down on the paper. And that may be about as thick as that paintbrush will go. Let's try it one more time. This one's a little thicker, isn't it? That's all. And see, you can see now I'm running out of paint. So I'm going to dip my paint back in again and come back and take my line out as far as it'll go and try to fill in from the other side then. I think part of watercolor is filling in. So it's a practice in making that technique work for us as well. So don't get discouraged when you're practicing these, because they will come in handy later on when we're actually pros at this. Do you think you'll ever be a pro? I'm pretty sure I won't, and it's okay. I don't mind a bit. So there's the original was a thin line. Let me do another one. Wet my paintbrush and then get a little more paint and stand my paintbrush up just a little bit straighter and try to do just a basic thin line. And you can see my hand kind of wiggles a little bit, but that's okay. That's a nice thin line. And so then we've got thin, medium, and thicker lines out of this, what I'm thinking is a number 2 round brush. So that's about what it amounts to there. And then I think if you wanted to even up the paint density there, you could just go back over it a little bit with a little more paint. And there we go. So there's straight line. Now, let's try a tapered line. in another color. Let's choose red because I've got it. And I think this is actually a Alizarin Crimson, if I'm not mistaken. So now tapered is thin, thick, thin. Thin, thick, thin. And I got a little bit too much paint on my brush here. So thin, thick by pressing it down and then pulling back up for thin again. There. Now that will make us a nice leaf or a flower petal in the future, won't it? Let's try it again. Be sure you don't have way too much water on your brush, because if you do, it puddles. So tap your brush off a little bit. Let's do thick and then thin, and thick and thin, and then come up at the end and leave a little tiny point. Oh, well, that was easy, wasn't it? Good deal. So now let's try some C curves and some S curves. And this is where my drawing capabilities completely fail me. So I have a little trick for us. And I printed this off of Canva, and I'll leave the file down below in case you're drawing challenged like I am. And it'll help you. And what I've printed it on copy paper, and I'm hoping that this will work because I've seen it done before, and I'm just bearing with myself and hoping things will work out today. And I've taken some pencil, just a dull little pencil on the back, and gone one way and then come back in and gone the other way. And then what we're going to do is flip it back over and do some lines using those images in my pencil. And this helps you practice drawing some smooth lines, also following the pattern. And I was thinking about this the other day when I was trying to figure out how to do this video. Let's see, I don't know, can you see that? It makes a very faint line, which is just perfect for what we're doing today. And I'm hoping you can see that. I think you can probably only draw once with the amount of lead that's on the back, or whatever it is, graphite, on the back of it. So there's two little wavy lines. Can you see them? There we are. And let's do a circle. I have 3 of them here that have the pencil scratches on the back. Now I'm pretty good if I go slowly and just follow my line and try to make myself concentrate on it. That's where I get into trouble sometimes. My mind starts wandering on me. And there we go. There's circle number 2. Let's do one more. There we are. There. And you can see it got a little wonky here. That's okay. No worries on that. Now let's go ahead and change our color out just a little bit. And we're going to practice some C shapes. And this will come in very handy when we're doing, well, leaves and all kinds of things, really. I'm just wetting my paint now and getting it ready to go. And I think this is burnt umber, maybe sienna, I'm not sure. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. We're just using up some paint on the palette now. And so I'm going to start with a point standing up, and then make it a little thicker, and then come back up again. There we go. There's number 1. Ah, gracious. This is a little harder than it looks, but be prepared. There, now this one's a little better, I think. Except my end didn't end up very good. I have too much water on my brush. See that puddle right there? That means I had too much water on my brush. So let's try to end that up a little better. In fact, maybe I'll just bring it all the way around. So this part looks pretty good, but it should have been stopped a little sooner. Let's try one more time. I've re-wet my brush. I'm going to take a little bit off, and we'll try it again. There. That's better, isn't it? Alright. Now I think I'm going to come back in and try again inside without a pencil line to go with. There's one. I'm sorry we have so much noise on the highway today. I will be very happy when we get into the new studio. And that goes away. This is actually a little harder than it looks, so it's good to practice. It's good to practice. So there's my little C's, and there they are. Now let's do our S curve, which is down here. You'll see it a little better in just a minute, I think. And I believe I'll go back to the red because it shows up pretty well. And I don't really have any green out here. So I've used up all the green. I may have to get a little bit more. So let's see. Here's the basic S curve. I got a little wiggly on the end there. It's okay. So now we're going to make it a little thicker. There, that's a nice one there. It has two tails. That's okay. Now, there's a nice little S curve. Let's try it again. And then put a little more of your paintbrush on the paper and then pull back up into a fine point. There. Oh, I think those are easier than the C curves are. Let's try to do one freehand now, since we've got a little practice in. I personally think it might be a little easier on us to start a little bigger than to try smaller, but now that we've had a little practice, let's try a little smaller just to see. I'm going to try going the opposite way. And maybe not. Let's see. The reason I thought about doing these kind of practice print out from Canva was because I have also another one of the things that I would like to learn is calligraphy. And I have a calligraphy book, and there's all kinds of sample pages in it. So I thought if we had a little page like this to practice with, it might make learning it just a little bit easier. Now, let's try to paint a flower. You want to? I do. So I've penciled up the back of the leaves and the stems. And it probably won't fit on here, but that's okay. I'll cut it in half. Because I'm using scraps and tape my two scraps together, it won't make any difference to me whatsoever when I find my tape. One thing about moving, I can't remember where anything is anymore. It's crazy. Okay, that'll give us a nice little wider piece to do our flower on. And I'm going to draw this one in, and we'll just see what kind of flower we can come up with here. And these are not exactly evenly spaced. I didn't spend a lot of time on them. They're just circles in varying sizes that are stacked up together with approximate spacing. That'll be good for practicing, I think. And when you draw, use your pencil on the back like that, then you get a little practice piece here. And I think we can do the stem. And there's one. And then I can draw my stem on up over here. And then we can do a little leaf. Again, you can see I get distracted and then I get away from my basic little image there. But this is okay. We're just going to try to do a little practice here. And I wanted to give you this little idea of printing and then tracing. There. All right. Well, here we go. Let's see what we can come up with now, using our little techniques that we have done earlier today. I'm going to start, I think, with some violet in the middle. I got too much water on my brush, didn't I? That's all right. This is practice. And then I'm going to mix just a little bit of red with the violet on my paint palette over here and come in and do a little bit different one on my little C curve here. This is the first time I've ever done this, so you all are seeing it here. We'll go back and fill it in a little bit as we move along. I'm going to mix a little bit more paint and come in and do another little C curve here. There we are. And then I'm going to mix a little bit more of that glycerin crimson in and try to do a little outside edge with that. There. Now we can add just a little bit more in, maybe. Just keep playing with it and practicing your C curves. That's the whole point here. Not to make a pretty picture, because we're probably not ready for that yet. Maybe we'll have a little bit of darker center here. There we are. It's beginning to look a little like a ranunculus, isn't it? Just a little bit. So here we go. Practicing our C curves and just using the brush. That's all we're doing today. Okay, now I'm going to rinse my paintbrush out just a little bit, and I'm going to pick up some Payne's Gray, because that's what I have on my palette, and we'll do the stem with some Payne's Gray. It'll be an interesting little flower, won't it? Okay, let's see. I think we'll come down this way. There we go. I'll kind of make my stem a little bigger up by the flower. Maybe do a little double line coming down this way. There. And now I think I'm going to mix some of this Payne's Gray in with some of this burnt sienna, I think is what that is. And I see another Cordelia hair here. And see what we come up with. Oh, it's kind of a brownish color, isn't it? Well, it is autumn here, so this might be a good time for some brownish leaves. There's Lucy. She's had a lot of whiny days these days with us moving. She doesn't quite understand what's going on, and that's okay. She'll get it eventually. We spent our first night at the other house the other day. Well, that was interesting. I forgot my toothbrush. We did have coffee, so that was a good thing that we could find. See, this is a little S-curve sort of thing here, kind of elongated C. Thick and thin, thick and thin. Going to add a few little lines to the leaves, just because we can and we're playing with it. Now, I know that looks like a 2-year-old drawing, and that is perfectly fine with me. I don't mind a bit. It's okay. I'm just playing with this now to see if I can add a little color in and follow some of my lines. This is kind of a wet on dry here that we worked on last week, I mean. So let me see, what can we do? Maybe we should be done, but it would kind of be fun to do a little eyebrows or something on our flower, wouldn't it? All right. Well, that's a hairy flower, isn't it? Okay, so let's see what else we can do with this, just because we're fooling around here today. Let me find my black pen. This is one of my Signa Uni-ball 207 pens. Let's see what we can do with this. This is basically dry now, and I think I'll just do a little squiggly do on the inside here and see what comes up out of this. There. And then add a few in around the outside just to help it have a little continuity, perhaps. There we go. Let's do the stem. Maybe 2 or 3 times and cross over. And all this is doing is practicing a little bit of pen work along with watercolor, because you know my interest is in watercolor and pen. So here we are. Day number 3. I decided I'd put a little spatter on it, because I think spatter finishes off a project like this, no matter how silly it is. And I think I'll put some of that alizarin crimson in too, just for a little extra color. There. Okay, well, here it is, and this was day 3, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.